Hello everyone, welcome to NumPy course. Today we'll be learning about the data types in using NumPy. So we'll start on the first data type called bool. Bool is nothing but your Boolean data types. Here what happened whenever we are using a Boolean data types, it stored always a byte. So remember that it store a byte. Either it will be a true or false. This is the use of your Boolean library. Now next one is your int. Int is nothing but your default integer type. So it's just support a integer values. So this library supports a integer value. You can go with a int. Then we are having a int c, int p, int 8. Then it continue with the 16. Like bytes or bits values. So go with the start with the 18, int 19, int 16. Then you are having a int 32, int 64. So continue. So this is what our integer data types used for. Whatever the integer value, if you want to store like 10, 20, 30, that particular time we are using a int data types. Now move to int c. Just now I told in C also the same way we are using for the integer value. We are having another data types called unit 8. Basically this unit 8 is a unsigned int. This is also a one type of integer data type, but it is a unsigned integer. Unsigned integer. So now the one thing comes to our mind, we are having a integer data type once. Why we are having a different ways of our integer data type or different name of that. So this how they are having a range on that, because whenever we are using any integer values, different integer keywords, different integer bytes storing a different range on that. So take an example like whenever we are start with your init int, that time it store either in 64 or in 32. That is a by default values. Here I'm talking about int 1. It will be store always a by default. Either it will be storing your particular in 64 or either it will be store your in 32. Now move to when comes to the int c, it will store normally in 32 or 64. For 8 bits, it comes to your minus 122, 127, it's continue. Same way, unsigned integer, whenever we use it, it store a value called 0 to 255. If you remember, that range is similar or same, that particular range is same as a character range. Whenever we use a character data types, the character data type range is 0 to 255. Here when we use a unsigned integer, that is unit 8 we use, unsigned integer also it will be stored 0 to 255. But when it comes to unit 16, it also has a variation. When it comes to unit 16, it start with 0 to 65535 and it continue till 64, and range will be varied. So depend upon our requirement, our client's requirement, we have to choose the data type properly. So data type also play a important role in our coding or in our programming, because with the help of data types only we can understand which type of data you have to use. Take as example, you want to store a value is 257. If you use unit 8, so it's not possible to store this particular, then we have to move to unit 16. So that is the use of this particular use of data types. Now comes to floats. We know that this is for the floating value. We are when we are using to store 80.64 or points values, we are using a float data type. For floats also we are having with the float 16, float 32, 64, continue with the range. Comes to complex, whenever we want to use to store a complex values like your 3 plus 2i means real and imaginary components. Remember, complex means this is a combination of real data types or real values and your imaginary IMA. So now I hope you are clear with the theoretical aspect of your data types. Now we directly jump to the Jupyter notebook to see how the different data types used in practical way. So let's start. So we are in a Jupyter notebook. We'll move to new Python, the new Jupyter notebook. Now we'll start with the data types to use. So now we'll import first. Import numpy as np, and then we are moving to create a variable to check that which data types we want to use it. So suppose var1 variable 1 equals to np, the alias name of numpy, d type. I have to check the type, so i4, and then just print var a variable 1, print. So you can observe that we're using integer 32. So this is how we can check the particular. So now we'll see with the first one, the bull one, how we have to use it. So already we imported. So we start with a variable name. So suppose variable name we're using var. You can use any variable name. Then moving to np, alias name dot array. After that we'll be continuing to create a values, suppose 1 comma 2 comma 3. I'm just giving a random values to create that. Then you have to create another variable to store the boolean one, because we have to check with that boolean data type. So var2, suppose already we use var1 in the same notebook, so we're moving to var2 equals to which one. You have to change the var1 to var dot as type, that is for your type, which type you have to go into, that is bool. So boolean type, and then we have to print a bool. So print var2, print var. So both we are printing. So this is how. And when you are printing, the another one can check with the d type also. If you want to check with the d types, you can check with the d types, that is var2 dot d type. So here what happened, first we are going with to create a normal array, then we are going with the boolean data type. So we created another variable name, that is var2, and then moving towards to the name of the array, which one we create and store the variable var. So we have to go with that. As type, for this which data type you want to use it, the data type is bool. Then we are moving to print var2. We are printing directly the var2, and then we are trying to print it with a d type. So we'll run this. So you will get that d type means which type, which data type. Before that also we use a d type. So that time is integer 32. It shows because we pass i4. Here we pass a bool values true, true, true. So that's why it shows a bool. Now, when we pass the values, here always it's true. Take a copy of this. Let's see with the, because boolean will be always true and false. So this is true. Suppose we are putting zeros here, 0, and we are putting 0 here as well. We are putting 0 here as well. So run this, you will get the false one. So 0 and 1 and another value, it will give you the true, and whenever we use as 0, it will give you the boolean as a false. So boolean will take true and false together. So this is how a boolean data types is work, and how we have to use a boolean data types. Other data types we'll see in the next session.